project, Lesson 1, Introduction to the Sewing Machine. I'm Jacqueline Fogarty. For the first two lessons, you will need half a yard of scrap fabric. I like to use a plain cotton fabric. I suggest not using any knits because we don't want any stretch fabric. You'll need one spool of any color of all-purpose sewing machine thread. It comes in a big spool like this. You will need one empty bobbin that looks like this. Each sewing machine has a specific size, so check in your sewing machine manual before you go out and buy them. You will need a pair of scissors, preferably fabric scissors since we're working with fabric. One marker of any color. And whenever I'm working, I always like to have a pencil with me, just in case. You'll need one ruler, one sheet of plain white copy paper, and of course, you'll need one home sewing machine. I'm using a Brother XL 3500. Let's get started. When sewing, your first step is to wind the bobbin. When you sew, you actually use two spools of thread. You use this top thread here, which is the color that you bought, and you also wind the bobbin spool as the bottom thread. So the first thing you do is you're going to take your spool of top thread and you're going to put it on this right here. So you're going to put it through these holes on top of here. Now whenever you sew with a sewing machine, you want your thread to be spinning counterclockwise. So as you see when I pull it, the thread is sort of coming out of the back here. So you're going to take the tail of thread, you're going to bring it around the front. See this little part right here, this little circle? You're going to bring it around the front of that and bring it around and across here and pull it. Okay. Now you're going to take your clear bobbin with no thread on it and you're going to find the little holes on the top right here. Every bobbin is going to have these tiny holes on the top where you're going to put the thread through. So I have my little piece of thread and the hole. And you're going to go from the inside out like this. See? Alright. So now I'm just going to take that and pull it a little bit. Here we go. So now you see I've threaded it through the little hole from the inside out. Okay, so my sewing machine actually has a broken part on it. There will be a little notch right here for you to pop the bobbin on. So you're going to pop it on like this, like that, and you're going to push it over so it locks into here. So I'm going to show you the next steps. I'll just walk you through them, but I won't be able to show them on my sewing machine here because that one piece is broken. Okay, so after you put it on here and you push this part over to lock it in, we're going to actually turn on our sewing machine. So on the sewing machine, there's the power button. So you're going to flip that power button, and when that happens, a light should go on. Under here you see how it's illuminated all of a sudden. So that means your sewing machine is on. So then if you start using your pedal, the needle's going to go. And obviously, make sure your sewing machine is plugged into the wall because it definitely won't work if it's not. So after you've turned your sewing machine on and you have your bobbin locked in and ready to go, you're going to take your foot pedal, which I'll show you here, and put it under the table. And you're going to use your foot and press it down, and when you press it down, the bobbin is going to start spinning. So you're going to hold it down until the bobbin looks pretty full. And one thing to remember is when you're first winding the bobbin, hold the little piece of thread and so it doesn't start unraveling once you start going. Okay, now that we have the bobbin wound, it should look like this. Okay, so now let's get started with threading the sewing machine. So you're going to be taking your top spool of thread and putting it on here just like last time. Make sure, again, it is spinning counterclockwise. So your first step is going to be taking your thread and bringing it in the back here, like that. So you see this little part here, there's a little catch. You're going to need to make sure you get that when you thread your machine. So I'm moving it back and forth right now. Okay, our next step is to take the thread and bring it down along this line here. So just bring it straight down. So we're going to follow that line and bring it around and bring it back up. Next, you see this little metal part right here. You're going to need to take the thread and thread it through this metal thing. So make sure that it is at the top. You can use the side hand wheel to get it all the way to the top. You're going to take your thread and just bring it around. So you see here, the thread is in between this little metal part here. Let me show you that one more time. So starting from this stage again, we go down, around, go back up, and now you're going from right to left and down. So as you can see now, the thread is in between the metal part and the plastic left side. Okay, so now you're going to bring the thread down after looping that through. And now it's time to actually thread the needle. So you're going to have to hold your thread about an inch away from the edge so you get a good grip on it. You're going to take it and you're going to thread it front to back, because that's how needles are positioned in here. So you're going to be threading it front to back. My hand's going to block it, but go front to back. Okay, so now you can see that it went from the front here through the hole to the back. So you're just going to take this little piece of thread and you're going to pull it through the needle. Like that. Okay. So now we're going to take the thread and we're going to put it through this little space right here. This is called the presser foot, just so it'll stay down. So now we have the entire top of the sewing machine threaded. Now that we have the top threaded, it's time to thread the bobbin. So on my machine, it's right here, and it'll probably be there on yours too. We're going to take this little latch here, we're going to take it and pull it out, and it's going to unlock this door. So we're going to take that piece out and set that aside, since that's the bobbin cover. Now we have our bobbin. We're going to place it in the bobbin case and make sure that is counterclockwise, like our top thread. We're going to just place it inside of that case here. That's why it is very important that you have the correct size bobbin for your machine, or else it won't fit the case. So now, I'm going to hold down the bobbin in the case just so it doesn't spin. I'm going to take the thread, I'm going to loop it around this little part right here. Now I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to take my bobbin, put it in the bobbin case, take my thread, and loop it around this piece right here. It almost looks like a crescent moon shape. So now I'm going to just take my thread and leave it off to the side. Make sure you have about 6 inches or more of thread because you don't want it to be too small. And you're just going to leave it off to the side here. There's no little groove you have to put it in. Just leave it there. And now we're going to take our bobbin case again and just put it back in. So it clicks back in. So it put the back in and then the front, and then once you hear that click, it means that it's back in place. So now we have threaded the top thread and the bottom thread. So we're done threading the machine. So that's the end of lesson 1. Please practice winding the bobbin and threading the sewing machine at least 10 times before going to the next lesson. These skills are essential for any sewing project you will do. And if your sewing machine is a little different from mine, don't panic. It's okay. You can consult your manual for further information. See you at lesson 2.
Yeah, with you.